All right, welcome back. Welcome back. This is week number 2 of our Gospel Organ Camp. So again, thank you for joining me for week number 2. I'm excited about it. I hope you still are as well. And I see we have a few people that are online live right now. If you would just give me a shout out, tell me your name, and of course where you're located, where you're from. I'd love to know who I'm talking to live this evening. And then, too, I want you to know now, the whole point of us doing this live is so this can be an interactive time. So feel free to ask questions. I'm here to help you. I really want you to benefit from these sessions. I want you to definitely be a much better musician because of it. So please feel free to comment and to make questions, ask questions rather, and I'll definitely do my best to answer those questions for you. Okay? I'm really excited about our session for this evening. I have what I believe are some very interesting things that I want to share with you this evening, things that I think you will enjoy, and things that I think that are very practical that you will be able to apply into your playing right away. Okay? All right. Well, I want to recognize Dr. Ollie Malone from Dallas. Welcome. And we have D-Rob from New York. Okay, welcome. Okay. And we'll be I'm sure have a few more people coming on live as we continue on in our session. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to share with you today, one of the first things I want to share with you today is drawbar settings and setting the organ up. Okay. That's very important to know how to set your drawbars up to get the type of sound that you want and to get the effect that you want. So we're going to talk about that this evening. We're also going to talk about things that you can do with tritones. Now, on last week, we were going to cover congregational songs, and I ran out of time, so I really didn't get a chance to get into it the way I wanted to. So we're going to pick up with that this evening, but I'm going to show you how you can play congregational songs using tritones. And then we're also going to talk about ways to jazz up or to, if you will, modernize songs that you may already know, to make it a little bit more contemporary sounding if that's the style that you desire to play. Okay? So we're going to hit that, and then we're going to use a lot of these techniques that I'm going to show you. We're going to put them in a song so that way I can demonstrate for you how you can actually apply that to things that you may already know as well. Okay? All right, well, let's jump in. And before we begin, I always love to pray. Father God, in Jesus' name, thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to share with musicians. And I pray, Father, that you would bless this time, bless it to be effective, bless it to be productive. I pray that you would even lead and guide, even in the instruction and the teaching. And I pray that you bless the minds of everyone that would see and hear this, that everyone would comprehend. And Father, everyone would take it in and begin to apply it to be a much better musician. Thank you for the gift of music, and thank you for blessing this time now. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. All right, well, let's jump in, y'all. All right, so first thing I want to do, I want to talk about drawbar settings, okay? Now, first thing that I'm going to do is give you some of my personal go-to settings, okay? And I think these are settings that are very, very common, as well as settings that many gospel musicians use, okay, in gospel music today. All right, now let's start off with these drawbars here, okay? Now let's look at the drawbars. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drawbars, okay? Now, what I generally do, it depends on the type of sound that I want. It depends on the sound that I want. And based on the sound, I will use what I would say 2 different starting points, okay? For example, if I wanted a heavier type sound or a fuller type sound, my starting point would probably be the first 4 out, okay? The first 4 out all the way to the number 8. I know you can't see the numbers on the screen, but all of these drawbars, the first 4 are pulled out all the way to the number 8, okay? And I would consider that to be like a starting point, okay? It gives me what I would consider a full sound. Okay, it gives me a full sound. It gives you warmth. It gives you a little edge to cut through a little bit, okay? And so I like to use it as a starting point. And then what I do is I use the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawbars as a way to shape this starting point, okay? And this is the thing that that I try to do that I don't think a lot of musicians think about. Now, if you're playing a Hammond organ like I'm playing, I'm actually playing what's called an A102 Hammond. So this Hammond is probably over maybe 40 years old. So this is a vintage instrument, but this is what most musicians prefer to play that play organ in gospel music, okay? And so if you're playing an organ, just think about it, that could potentially be 30, 40 years old. It's going to have wear, it's going to have tear, it's going to have components that are old, it's going to have things electronically about the instrument that will not be functioning 100%, okay? And that's something that you always have to keep in mind. And when you play organs that are that old, all of them sound different. Some of them are brighter, some of them are more mellow, some of them have more edge, some of them are stuffy, some of them are clear, and all of them are different. And so what I try to do is not just have a certain setting that I use for every organ, but I will tailor the setting that I use to fit the particular organ that I'm playing. Not only will I do that, but I will tailor my setting to fit the room that I'm playing in, okay? You need to also think about that, where you could be in a room that has very live acoustics, meaning the sound is bouncing off of the walls. And so in a situation like that, I may choose to play a little bit more mellow because maybe the brightness or the edge of the organ may be a little bit too much in a room that acoustically already has a live sound. Or vice versa, if I'm in a room that maybe it's a lot of carpet, it's a padded pews, maybe sound panels on the wall, and so it may be kind of somewhat of a dry sound, or you know, it's not a lot of brightness in the room just because of the acoustics. I may choose to pull the drawbars out a little bit more to get more of a brighter sound. So the point that I'm trying to make is you really have to use your ear to be the judge in terms of how to set the drawbars up. I hope that's making sense. You have to really use your ear. So what I'm going to do is give you a good starting point. And once you get that starting point, then it will be a matter of using your ear to just kind of fine tune it, okay? So let's do that now. All right, now, we started off with the first 4 drawbars, okay? Okay, now, what I would generally like to do is focus mainly on the white drawbars, okay? Now, the reason I say the white drawbars, because the white drawbars are the actual pitches of the note that you're playing, okay? So if you can listen to this, okay, let me go here. Okay, you may or may not be able to hear that, okay? And I'm actually doing it on the wrong manual. This is why I should be right here, okay? Now, you may or may not be able to hear that, but it is a high pitch overtone. But it's actually an A flat that is about 2 octaves above what I'm playing. Okay? Now, the white tones or the white drawbars, that's what they do. They are all the actual pitches that you're playing. So this is an A flat, at several different octaves, okay? It sounds like it's one note, but technically speaking, when I pull these drawbars out, they're all at different octaves, okay? So this is like a fundamental tone, the first white one. Okay, now notice when I pull out the next white one, it's almost like now I'm playing two tones, but it's because I pulled out this white one. Okay, let's pull out another white one. Okay, it's almost as if I added another octave. Okay, let me put out the next white one. It's as if I added another octave higher. Okay, so I'm playing this one note, but it actually sounds like it's 4 different A flats. Okay, now the reason I told you that is because when you're trying to get a pure sound, or you want to really get a fundamental type sound, you want to mainly work with the white drawbars. Okay, that's important to understand. You want to mainly work with the white drawbars because that gives you more of a fundamental sound. Now, when you start to get to the black or the brown drawbars, you're going to start to add more harmonics. You may add a fifth, or you may add a third to those actual tones, which actually could sound, if you're not careful, a little abrasive. Now, it's good in certain situations. If you want a lot of energy, if you really want to be really aggressive, that abrasiveness of the black drawbars would be exactly what you want. If you want a lot of edge, if you want a lot of drive, that abrasiveness works well. But if you really want more of a pure sound, you want to focus more so with the white drawbars, okay? So I hope that makes sense. So now let me show you how I'll try to mix all this together. All right, now we're starting first with our 4 drawbars, and I'm just going to do it to taste. Okay, all right. Now let's say, for example, we like this sound, but we want to brighten it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is start with this first white one here. Okay. Now I may think, well, that's a little too bright, so I'm going to push it in maybe halfway. Okay. I want a little bit more brightness, so I'm going to go to this next white one here. Okay, let's see what we have. Now let's say, for example, that's a little too bright, either for the sound that we want, maybe too bright for the organ that we're playing, or maybe even too bright for the room that we're in. So what I'm going to do is maybe just kind of push it in a little bit, just to kind of mellow it out just a little bit. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so now, then we had a little glitch with the sound. I think we got it back now. But what I'm trying to do is just cater the setting that I'm using just to the sound. Okay, so what I'm saying is, I try not to follow hard-clad rules in terms of my drawbar settings. What I try to do is use my ear, use your ear. Let your ear be the judge in terms of how you do it, okay? Let your ear be the judge, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is, before we move on to the next thing, I'm gonna give you some basic settings that I like to try to use, but what I want you to do is take those settings and let them be just like starting points for you, okay? Let them be starting points, but alter those settings based on the condition of the organ, the sound of the organ, the sound that you're going for in your head, as well as the way the sound is in the room. And then I left out another thing. If you're playing with a band, the sound that you need to play with to work well and gel with the band. That's important too, okay? So let me give you some of my basic settings. All right, I think one of my most common settings is what I mentioned before, is the first 4 drawbars out, okay? That gives me a nice warm sound. Okay, so that gives me a nice warm sound. I can do a lot with that sound. Okay, I can do a whole lot with that. Check. I can do quite a bit with just the first 4 out. Okay, I can do quite a bit with that sound. Now, what I also like to do is with the first 4 out, if I want a much brighter sound, I will pull out the next 2 white ones, okay? Okay, which would actually be right here for where I'm playing. Now notice that that's a lot brighter, okay? Where I have the first 4, and I'm gonna make it a little uniform so you can see exactly where I am and what I'm doing. So we're gonna play down here, okay? And we're gonna use these drawbars. So I have the first 4, and then these 2 white ones, okay? So that's another basic setting that I use. Sometimes I will do this, is where I will have the first 4, and then the next 2 out to number 4, like that, okay? Okay? And then I would just kind of tailor that to taste, okay? Now you may want to write these down, or you can go back, of course, and look at the playback, and you won't miss it, okay? All right, let me give you some more. I also like to do where I'm using the first 4 and just the last white one, okay? All right, that's a nice little setting. All right, another one that I like to use now. I do this little trick based on the condition of the organ. Some organs are very bass heavy, and some organs are not bass heavy at all. It just depends on the organ itself. And so, what I generally try to do is use this first brown one here to determine how much bottom the sound. Now, a lot of musicians don't realize this, but you actually can push this in a little bit, and it takes away a little bit of the bottom, okay? Which is actually ideal and good based on the condition of the organ, okay? Now, if you take it away too much, it loses all of the bottom. You don't want to lose all of your bottom, but you can kind of pull it back a little bit. I may pull it back to 7, or maybe at the most about 6. Okay, and it takes a little bit of the low end out, and based on the organ, that may be exactly what you need, to get the sound that you want. You don't want it to be too booming or too bass heavy. Okay, so that's another little thing that you can do. Okay. All right, now let's go further. If I want to be real aggressive, okay, say for example I'm playing behind somebody's preaching and they're tuning up, and I want to be real aggressive, I'll pull all of them out, okay? Okay? So if I want to be really aggressive, I'll definitely try to pull every drawbar out to get a lot of edge out of the sound, okay? Now, this is something that I do when I want to play little solo lines, okay? I will actually pull them all out except for the first one, and leave the first one pushed all the way in. Okay, and then it gives me this sound here. Okay, and that's real popular. Mississippi Mass Choir, they would make that real popular sometimes. Let me demonstrate that setting for you. And that setting is when you have all of the drawbars pulled out except for the first one, okay? So now let me demonstrate how you could use that in context. Okay, so I think you get the idea. So that setting is a really, really nice setting when you really want to try to get, you know, that a traditional churchy kind of melody type sound. Okay, that's real standard, and that's how you get that, is with all of the drawbars out except for the first one. Okay, now let's talk about a traditional type sound. Now let's go back down here. One thing that I like to do to get a traditional sound is I'll pull out the first drawbar and the last drawbar. Okay, so the first one and the last one, and it gives me like an old traditional type sound, like. Okay. Okay, and so that's from first drawbar out, last drawbar all the way out. Okay, so that's a nice little fun setting if that's what you're going for. Okay, now when I want to play more mellow, say for example, if I'm trying to play talk music, somebody's talking and I don't want to play that loud, what I would do is pull out the first two white drawbars and leave the first two brown ones in. Okay, I'll pull out the first two white drawbars all the way up to the number 8. But when I do that, I have to play an octave lower to get the same octave. Okay, so for example, normally if I was playing here, if I push in the first two drawbars, okay, notice how it's heavier or it's a lower octave. When I push in the first two drawbars, it brings the octave up in a sense. So to get the same sound, I would have to play lower. Okay, but I can play with a really nice mellow sound, not real aggressive, or not too edgy, should I say? So that gives you a nice mellow sound, and it could be, of course, for more than just talking music. It could be for a nice hymn, or if you just want to play real mellow, that's a nice sound. And so I'll use that. Sometimes I'll use the first white drawbar on 8, and then the second white drawbar on 4. Okay, that's even a little bit more mellow. Okay, and then sometimes even what I would do is pull out the first two and then the third white drawbar and the last drawbar, where I have the first two on 8 and this one on 4 and this one on 4. Okay, so 8, 8, 4, 4. And that gives me a mellow sound that has a brightness to it. Okay? And then even with all of that, you still want to kind of play with it and just see if you can find something to your taste. And what I don't want to do is give you hard-clad settings. You say, well, you have to use 8844, 8822, because 8844 will sound one way on one organ, and 8844 will sound a little different on another organ. So the key is use your ear. Use your ear, okay? So those are just basic settings that I like to try to use. Now, of course, what I would try to do, just from a practical standpoint, I will use different drawbar settings based on the song that I'm playing. And what I would try to do is set the organ up to be ready for different sections. So say, for example, I'm playing a song that starts off mellow, and then towards the end it gets more aggressive. What I would do is set my drawbars up to where it's kind of like a mellow type sound. So we'll start with the two drawbars, number 8 and number 8, and then I'm going to pull out the next two on 4 and 4, and then the last one on 5, okay? So let's say we'll do it like that, okay? Now, I know toward the end of the song, we're going to get really aggressive. So I'm going to pull out the first 4 and the last 2 white ones, all the way to the number 8, all right? And I'm playing by myself, so I'm going to pull the first 4 out right here on the top manual, okay? And then, of course, my foot pedals, I'm going to bring that first foot pedal out to number 8, and I generally don't use the second bass drawbar that much, but it adds edge to the sound, and so I really don't use it that much. If I do use it, at the most I'll bring it out to 1 or maybe 2, nothing more than that, and that's just my personal preference, okay? Maybe 1, but most of the time I don't even use it at all, okay? And what I'll try to do is balance my bass foot pedals with my drawbars when I'm playing with the manuals with my hands. I don't want too much bass and not enough keys. So you want to balance it out. You don't want to just pull it out to 8 and just start playing. You want to really listen and ask yourself, is this a good balance between what I'm playing with my hands and the notes that I'm playing with my foot? So you really want to be sensitive to all of those little things, okay? You know, and what I hear sometimes is when musicians play, and if you're sitting in the back of the room, sometimes all you can hear is a whole lot of bass and not really much of the detail of the organ itself or the chords. And then vice versa, sometimes all you can hear are the chords and not much bass. So you want to think, what does it sound like to the person that's sitting all the way in the back of the room? And don't just think what it sounds like to you, because the Leslie speaker could be right by you or the sound system could be right by you. So the way it sounds to you is going to be a little differently. It's going to sound a little differently than it does to the person in the back of the room. So you want to keep that in mind when you're setting your organ up. Okay, that's important. All right, so let's say, for example, we're playing this song now, and we're going to switch over. So let me show you how you can really work these drawbar settings. All right. So let's say we're going to start the song. We'll start right here, softer. Let's say we're building it up. All right. So notice how I didn't have to hurry up and try to change my settings. I just used my B flat and B settings over here. So I took advantage of the fact that I have 2 sets of drawbars. Knowing the song and knowing the direction we're going to go in the song, I would try to preset my drawbars so that way when I transition to another section in the song, I can quickly move to another drawbar setting. Okay, I hope that's making sense. But that's how I use my drawbars. Okay, so that's just a basic rundown of how you do it. But I believe the key to it is use your ears. Okay, all right. So anybody have any questions about that? Please feel free to let me know. Okay, all right. We're going to go on to the next thing now. I want to show you how you can incorporate tritones when you're playing congregational songs, okay? I want to show you how you can do that. All right, we're going to take a real standard song, and we're going to take the song, Bless That Wonderful Name of Jesus, okay? And we're going to do this in the key of E flat, all right? Now, if I was playing a song like this, I would approach it like this. Okay? All right, so that's a demonstration of how I would possibly play Bless That Wonderful Name of Jesus. Okay, I think I have a question. Okay, question is, a friend of mine says that he uses all out drawbars for everything. Okay, what do you think about that? Well, I think, I can't say that that's wrong. What I would say is that wouldn't be my approach. That wouldn't be my approach. I would think using them all the way out on everything, I would think would be a little too aggressive or a little bit too edgy. Just based on the song. Now, if he plays high energy all the time, then maybe that would be fine. But some songs are like worship style songs or mellow songs. Some songs start out very soft, and you can of course bring your volume down, but the tone will still be pretty bright and edgy. So for me, I probably wouldn't do it that way, but somebody may be able to get some pretty good results with that. So I don't want to put you in a box and say you have to do it this way. But those are just the settings that I showed you. Those are just some good general starting points. And then from there, you kind of, make little adjustments to fit your particular situation. Okay? All right. All right, he takes the edge off with the volume, but pretty much stays with the same settings, adding, restricting, lessening. That's an interesting concept. Interesting concept. And so, I always encourage you, to experiment and to be open-minded. That's one thing I try to be, is to be open-minded. And what you'll do is you'll find out what works for you and then what's your personal preference. Okay? All right. But good questions, though. Great questions. All right. So now let's go back to the actual the congregational songs. Okay. Now I'm in the key of E flat. Now, what I want to do is show you how you can use tritones to play this type of music or this style, congregational style. Okay. Now, one thing I love to try to do is to create a certain type of rhythm or a certain type of bounce when I'm playing, okay? And let me show you exactly what I mean. All right, when I'm playing, I'm trying to get you to feel. Okay? So I'm trying to get you to feel where the bounce is. I'm trying to get you to feel that. And one way that I do that is to play very percussive or staccato in a sense, okay? So a lot of my notes are very short and separated, and that's to give you more of a boom, ba, 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 da, ba, doom, ba, ba, that type of sound. And that's what I'm going for, because congregational songs or songs like that is really more so about the feel than anything else. You want that hand clapping, foot stomping type of feel when you play, and so you want to really have that rhythmic type of approach in your playing, okay? So let me show you how you can do that with the organ, all right? All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to use tritones, and we're going to use some really, really basic movements. We're going to move from the number 1 to the 4, to the 2, to the 5, to the 1. Okay, we're going to keep it real simple for right now. Okay, and we're, of course we're in the key of E flat, so the E flat major scale would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. E flat 1, F is 2, G is 3, A flat is 4, B flat is 5, C is 6, D is 7, and E flat is 8. Okay, let's play it up here. We can see it a little bit better. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play what's called a tritone. Now a tritone, technically speaking, is what you would call a augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Okay, now if you understand that, that's what a tritone is. It's 2 notes, and it's an augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Now if you don't understand that, a simple way to understand a tritone is whatever key the chord is in. If it's an E flat chord, or if it's an A flat chord, if it's an F chord, E flat would be the root, A flat would be the root, F would be the root. Whatever the root of the chord is, it would be the third and the flat 7 of the root of the chord. The third tone and the flat 7 tone of whatever the root of the chord is. Okay, now let me give you an example of that. I just want to make sure everyone understands how to create a tritone. Now we're in the key of E flat. E flat will be number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And E flat will be the root. Okay? And so what we're going to do is find the third and the flat 7 of the root. So let's find that. 1, 2, 3. All right? G is the third. All right, now let's find the flat 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, we don't want 7, we want flat 7, so we're going to lower the half step to D flat. Okay, so the third is G, and the flat 7 is D flat. Okay, so G and D flat would be considered a tritone. Okay, and it is the tritone that goes to the root E flat. Okay, so G and C sharp is the tritone that works with the bass note or the root E flat. Okay, all right, now what I also can do is I can invert this. It doesn't have to be G on the bottom and D flat on the top. It actually could be D flat on the bottom and G on the top. Okay, as long as you have the 2 correct notes, the third and the flat 7, or the flat 7 and the third, you're fine. Okay, now let me give you even another way to figure it out. Okay, you can just count up a few steps. 1, 2, 3, 4 up, and 1, 2 down, and then you can figure it out like that too. Okay, so it's real simple. So once you figure out what your tritones are for your target notes or your target chords, then you play those. Okay, so we're going to do this with our left hand. So we're going to move from the 1. We're in the key of E flat again. We're going to move from the 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 to the 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 5, 1. Okay, we're going to do it again. 1 on the E flat. Okay, this is the pattern. Okay, now to the 4, 4, then 2, 5, 1. Now if we were in a different key, let's go to the key of F. All right, now the scale in F would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, now we're going to do the same pattern, just in a different key now. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 to the 4. This is the 4. Then 2, 5, 1. Okay, and I'm playing these actual same bass notes with my foot pedals. Now let's go back to the key of E flat. I just wanted to demonstrate it in a different key. Now what I'm going to do is play the tritone to each one of those target numbers. The 1, 1, and then to the 4, then to the 2, and then to the 5. We're going to do all of that with the left hand. Let's see what it sounds like. Here we go. All right, here we go to the 4 and to the 2, to to the 5, to the 1. All right. Now let's do it again. And this time I'm going to try to make it a little bit smoother by, instead of playing the tritone of the 4 right here, I'm going to invert that. Instead of G flat and C, I'm going to play C and G flat, just to make it a little smoother. Okay, let's try it now. Here we go. On the 1 again. 1. All right, let's take it to the 4 right here. To the 2, 5, 1. Okay, now that's what we're going to do with our left hand. Now, what I'm going to do with my left hand to make it a little bit more interesting is I'm going to do what's called sidestepping. Now, sidestepping is when you are playing a particular thing, and right before you play it, you play a half step below or above that, and then play what you were meaning to play. Let me give you an example. Okay, I'm playing D flat and G. To sidestep it would be to play a half step below it and then go up to it, like that. Okay, that's sidestepping. Then we're going to sidestep on the 4, and that would be then 2, 5, 1. Okay, so I'm not going to do it on every chord, but just the chords I'm sitting on or playing for a nice amount of time. Okay, so let's try it again, where we're going to sidestep the tritone that goes to the E flat. I'm varying the rhythm a little bit, then we're going to go to this one. Then the 2. Okay, now if you just learn that alone and you do it in every key, you'll be able to play so many different congregational type songs. Okay, let's see if we can do it in the key of F. All right, and so the tritone would be this on the 1, and then when we go to the 4, the tritone would be this, D and A flat, and then when we go to the 2, F and B, and then when we go to the 5 in F, E and B flat, and then the 1 would be E flat and A. Okay, so I'm sidestepping. Now let's go to the 4, then 2, 5, 1. Okay, now let's see if we can fill that up to make it sound a little bit fuller. Okay, let's see if we can fill it up. Now I'm going to play it down here so I can make a little more room for my right hand. So let's see what we can do with the right hand while doing this with the left hand. Here we go. Okay, all right, now it's real simple, but it's very effective when you use it in the right way. Okay, now let's go to E flat. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to see if we can fill it up a little bit with our right hand while using these little simple concepts with the left hand. All right, let's try it in the key of E flat. Okay, all right, and so it's really simple. Now let me show you what I'm doing with my right hand. I'm doing something very, very simple, and I'm basically playing 2 chords. Okay, I did a few little extra things, but basically I'm only playing 2 chords. I'm in the key of E flat right now. I'm playing a 1 minor chord and a 2 minor chord. Okay, what I mean is the scale degrees: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 1 is E flat, number 2 is F. So what I'm doing is playing an E flat minor chord, which is a 1 minor, and then I'm going to number 2, which is F, which is an F minor, like that. Okay, 1 minor going to a 2 minor. So basically, I'm going back and forth between one minor like that, okay? So for example, almost like this. Okay, but you may be thinking, well, you were moving all around doing different octaves. Basically, what I was doing was taking these two chords and playing them in different inversions, okay? And by inversions, what I mean is playing the same three notes, but changing the position. So let's take the one minor. This would be considered root position because the root is the bottom note, or the note all the way to the left, the furthest to the left. And then if I invert the chord, this will be called first inversion. If I invert it again, this will be called second inversion, okay? So I'm playing E flat, G flat, B flat. If I invert it, I'm going to G flat, B flat, E flat. If I invert it again, I'm going to B flat, E flat, and G flat, okay? So those are different inversions for that one chord. Now, if we would take the F minor, F, A flat, and C, okay, this would be root position. And then if we would invert it, A flat, C, F, this would be first inversion. And then invert it again, this would be C, F, A flat. This would be second inversion. So basically, I'm going back and forth between the E flat minor and the F minor, but I'm using different inversions, okay? So E flat minor, root position. F minor, root position. E flat minor, first inversion. F minor, first inversion. E flat minor, second inversion. F minor, second inversion. Back to E flat minor, root position. See how I'm doing that? I'm only using those two chords, but I'm inverting, going back and forth. So E flat minor, F minor, E flat minor, F minor, E flat minor, F minor, E flat minor. Okay, and once you get comfortable with doing that, you can play that very quickly, going up and down, creating different patterns and things like that, and it could sound like you're doing a whole lot more than what you are, like this. Okay, let me show you in context how you can really work that and make it really sound like something more than what it is. Okay, and so you can take that and you can really work that, you know, and it really sounds like you're really doing some movement and things, but you're only playing two chords. So it's a really simple thing. So I would encourage you to practice that. Practice the one minor going to the two minor. Now, if we were in the key of F, F minor would be the one minor, and then G minor would be the two minor, okay? And so I would go back and forth between F, A flat, and C, G, B flat, and D, okay? Inverting those chords, going back and forth like that. Okay, and so that's a little thing that I like to try to do, okay? And so you can incorporate that with your tritones with your left hand. So while you're playing your tritones with your left hand, you can really work that one minor, two minor thing, or a little technique that I just showed you, and you really can really come up with some really, really nice congregational type playing, okay? All right, and what I'm gonna do also is I have a booklet that I put together, and I'm gonna make that available to everybody that signed up. I'm gonna actually email it to you, where it's a PDF file, but it actually has the patterns of so many different congregational songs. So it's going to give you the pattern like one minor going to the four major, to the two dominant seven, to the five dominant seven, and it gives you the patterns of how to play those songs. And if you learn the patterns, you'll be able to play them in any key. Okay, and That's what's really great. You'll be able to do it in any key. So I'm going to send that to everybody that's a part of the camp. Okay? All right, let's go to the next thing. Now, what I want to talk about is jazzing up your playing. Now, this should be pretty fun right here. Okay? Jazzing up your playing. Now, we're going to use tritones again, but what I'm going to do is show you how to fatten up or jazz up or modernize something that you may already know, and you just want to kind of, just kind of beef it up a little bit. I'm going to show you how you can do that by using tritones. All right? Now, say, for example, let's take the song, How Great Is Our God. Let's take that song. All right? Now, if I was playing that, normally I would play it possibly like this. So I would approach it possibly something like that. Now, say, for example, I'm playing the song, but I'm not totally happy with how I'm playing it, and I may want to make it a little jazzier than that. Let me show you some simple things that you can do that would possibly make it a little bit more jazzy, okay? Now, we're going to use tritones. We're going to talk about tritones, and we're going to also talk about major chords, okay? Now, let's talk about major chords first. When you're playing a song and you have a major chord, you always can do this right here. Let's use C major for an example, okay? Say, for example, you're playing a song and it has a C major chord in it, okay? Normally, you would play it like this, okay? One thing you can do is, and I want you to remember this, 3, 6, 2, 5, okay? It sounds like a chord progression, but I'm not talking about a chord progression. I'm actually talking about the actual tones of the scale. 3, 6, 2, 5. Remember that. And whenever you have a major chord, you can play the tones 3 and 6, 2 and 5, and it will give you a colorful, jazzy type of sound. Let me demonstrate it. Okay, so say, for example, the song has a C major in it, and I want to jazz it up. I'm going to play 3, 6, 2, 5, but let's find it. 1, 2, 3, okay? E would be the 3. 4, 5, 6. So A is the 6. So we're going to do 3, 6, but then we're also going to do 2, 5. So let's find the 2, 5. 1, 2. D would be the 2, and then the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so G would be the 5. So now we have 3, which is E, A, which is 6, D, which is 2, and then G, which is 5. So 3, 6, 2, 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the bass note with our foot pedal, which would be the 1 or C. All right, and then this is what we have. Okay, so that gives me some color. It gives me some richness. It makes it a little bit more modern than just that. Okay, again, that's the 3, 6, 2, 5. Okay, and I'm playing the bass note with my foot, and that's something that you can play on any major chord, okay, and it makes it sound a little bit more modern. All right, and what I would encourage you to do is practice this in every key. So what you can do is go up in half steps. That would be an easy way to practice. Okay, that's in C, and then we're going to go up a half step to D flat. We're going to go up another half step to D natural. Gonna go up another half step to E flat. Now I'm playing the root of the chord with my foot pedals, okay? Let's go up to E, okay? Go up to F, okay? We're gonna go up to G flat. We're gonna go up to G, okay? Now A flat. Now we're gonna go to A. All right, now we're going to go up to B flat. Now it's starting to get a little high to me, so I'm going to bring it down 1 octave here. All right, and then B natural, and then finally back to the C. And that may be a good way for you to get used to playing 3, 6, 2, 5 as a substitute for a regular major chord, okay? So that's something that you always can do when you're playing a song and you want to kind of jazz it up a little bit, all right? Now let's go to something different. I'm going to show you a little trick that you can use with tritones, okay? I'm going to show you this. Now, say for example, you're playing dominant 7 chords. You're playing dominant 7 chords. And generally speaking, when I have a dominant 7 chord on the 3rd scale degree, moving to the 6th scale degree, or when I have a dominant chord on the 6th scale degree, moving to the 2nd scale degree. So if I have a chord progression that's moving from 3 to 6, and the 3 is dominant 7, or if I have a chord progression that's moving from 6 to 2, and the 6 is a dominant 7 chord, you can use this little technique that I'm getting ready to show you now, okay? Now, once you establish what your tritone is with your left hand, you can then play major triads with your right hand. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. Okay, we were taking the song, How Great Is Our God, Our God. Okay, and let's do the 3, 6, 2, 5 right here. How great. Okay, then what we're going to do right here is go from the 3 to the 6. Okay, now let me show you what you can do on that 3. All right, now the chords are, I'm playing G, C, F, B flat. My foot is on E flat. All right, and then we're going to go here. Okay, I'm going to play this chord here. I'm doing A flat, left hand, D, G, C, right hand, and my bass pedal is B flat. And then we're going to go back to the 3, 6, 2, 5. So now here we go on the 3, which will be G, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to play a tritone on the G with my left hand. So I'm playing a tritone with my left hand. Now this is what you can do. Okay, I want you to remember this. Okay, remember this. You can play a 2 major triad, a flat 5 major triad, a sharp 5 major triad, or a number 6 major triad. So remember, 2, flat 5, sharp 5, and 6. I'll say that again. Number 2, flat 5, sharp 5, and number 6. You can take any one of those major triads and play it on top of that tritone to get different sounds, okay? Let me demonstrate that. All right, now we're going to take this tritone here, which is the tritone that goes to the note G, okay? We talked about how to find that. So it's the 3 and the flat 7. All right, but G is the root, okay? And I'm playing G with my foot pedal. So this is the tritone. So what we're going to do is, remember, we're going to take the 2 or the flat 5 or the sharp 5 or the 6, and we're going to play those major triads over this tritone. All right, so what will be number 2 in the key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. A will be number 2. So that means we can play this major triad, A major, and it sounds like this. Okay, we also can take the flat 5. So what's flat 5 in the key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flat 5. It would be D flat. So we could play this. It would be a D flat major triad. Or we could do the sharp 5, which would be this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, D sharp. And we're going to play that. Or we could do the number 6. Let's find where 6 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, which would be E major. We'll play that. Okay, so I get all of these different options of major triads that I can play over this one tritone. So I can play the 2 major triad, I can play the flat 5 major triad, I can play the sharp 5 major triad, or I can play the 6 major triad. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is take these same major triads, and just to get a better voicing, I'm going to invert the chords. Okay, so let's take this A major and we're going to invert it down here. So instead of playing A, C sharp, E, we're going to play E, A, C sharp, and let's see the type of sound we can get from that. Okay, all right, so that's a nice chord. So if I were playing the song How Great, okay, let's try that A major, okay, and we're going to go to the 6, so we possibly could do that. So that gives me an option. So that's the 2 major triad over the tritone. Now let's try the flat 5 major major chord over the tritone. So what's the flat 5 again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be D flat. So let's see what that sounds like. So let's invert it. We'll try that one. Okay, we're going to try that. So let's see what it sounds like. The D flat major triad over this tritone. So here we go. Here's the D major triad over it. Okay, so that gives me another option. All right, so that was the flat 5. Now let's try the sharp 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be E flat. Okay, E flat major triad. Let me invert that and see if we can come up. Let's try that. Okay, we'll try it right here. All right, so let's see what it sounds like in context. Okay, all right, so that was the sharp 5. I like the sharp 5. It sounds most natural to me. Okay, let's try the 6 though. Let's see what that sounds like. So what's number 6 in the key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be E major. Okay, these are the inversions for E major. Let's see which one sounds the best for this tritone. I think I'll try that one right there. Okay, E, A flat, and B. Okay, let's try it. Okay, so I hope you see by using this little, little trick here, you have a lot of different options whenever you have a dominant 7 chord. And so I'm basically just using the tritone to create, what I can do with my left hand for that dominant 7 chord, and then trying those different triads with my right hand. Okay, so that's a real simple thing that you can do, but experimenting with that, it could really be powerful and really modernize your sound and really give you some really nice chord progressions and give you something different to play that you normally don't do. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is give you just some chords as a demonstration for how great is our God, and then we're going to conclude our session if there aren't any other questions. Okay, so let me break these notes down for you. All right, so I started off with the 3, 6, 2, 5, how great, and then we went here. I showed you that, and then I'm going to play this. Okay, D-Rob, yes sir. I'm basically working around the tritone. That's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so now breaking it down on here, I'm playing F and B with the left hand. Right hand is E flat, G, and B flat, and my foot is on the G natural. Okay, and then here, all right, left hand is E flat, G, B flat, D, and right hand is F, B flat, D. Then we're gonna go here, which is F, B natural, E flat, left hand, and then the exact same thing with the right hand. F, B natural, E flat, right hand, and then G with the foot pedal. And then we go back here, and then we go here. All right, this is actually an E flat 13 chord. I'm playing G, and D flat with the left hand, and the foot pedals on the note E flat, and the right hand is G, C, F. And then we go here. All right, this is A flat major 7. I'm playing G, B flat, C, E flat with the left hand, and G and E flat with the right hand, and my foot pedals on the note A flat. And then we go here. All right, this is an F13 chord, and I'm playing F, A, D natural with the left hand, and then right hand is G, C, E flat, and then my foot pedals on the note F. And then we go here where I'm playing D, A flat, B flat, and C with the left hand. And then right hand is A flat, C, and D. And then we resolve. Okay, well, I'm simply playing B flat, and right hand is G and E flat. And so the B flat moves up to C, and the G moves up to A flat, like that. And I'm holding E flat on the top. And then back to the B flat and G while holding E flat with my foot. Okay? All right, so let's do that again, all right? Let's see if we can do it here. Then we can go back to that again and start over, okay? All right, so that's how great is our God. And so what I tried to do was incorporate those tritones. I tried to incorporate even some of those major triads over the tritones, and just gave you some additional chords as well, okay? So those are just some basic things that you can do. So if anyone has any questions, I will be more than happy to try to answer those questions for you right now before we conclude our session. If anyone has any questions. And so hopefully you can take many of these techniques that I've given you and start to apply them. I would encourage you to definitely practice on these. Okay? Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Malone. Great, great, great. So I definitely encourage you all to practice on this. And this is what I never want to paint you into a corner or put you in a box, okay? Music is an infinite art form. It really is. It continues it continues to evolve and to develop. I heard someone say once, music is like technology. And if you know anything about technology, it's always changing. It's always evolving. And that's how music is. So one thing I think is important is never lock yourself into strict rules, okay? It's good to understand music theory. It's good to understand those types of things. But let that be a foundation that you build upon, you know. Music, I believe, is in the heart, and you want to try to play what's in your heart, play the ideas that are in your mind, and sometimes it actually goes against music theory, you know. And, you know, I put it like this. At some point, somebody had to experiment and try things, and they discovered things through experimentation and trying things, and then they developed rules, and we now call it music theory. Who's to say that there aren't any new things that could be discovered or become stylistic or standard? So I believe it's important to be open-minded, try things, experiment. Don't put yourself in a box and say, well, I can't do this. Kenneth Holland say you can only use the 2 or the flat 5, sharp 5, 6. Those are just foundations, and those are just starting points, okay? But I want you to be creative and always have a mind to explore and try new things, okay? Do you have a trick to play in unfamiliar keys? I absolutely do. The trick is play in them. You have to play in those keys, D-Rob. And you know what? Let me give you an explanation of why I think sometimes certain keys are more difficult than others. And this is why. I don't believe there are any keys that are any harder than any other key. I believe all keys are even or equal. The thing is, sometimes we spend more time in a particular key. We may spend time playing quite a bit in A flat or quite a bit in C sharp or F or E flat. And the reason that is because your average gospel song that we hear on the radio, most of them are going to be in the key of A flat, E flat, F, B flat, D flat. Most of them. Now, of course, you may have a song that's in D, or you may have a song that's in G or B, but most of them are in black keys. So most musicians, as they learn songs, they learn the keys of those songs very well. And so the keys that songs are not in very often, you may not play in those songs very often. So what happens is the keys that you play in on a regular basis, you get strong in those keys, and the keys that you don't play in on a regular basis, you don't get as strong. It does not mean those other keys are harder. They are just more unfamiliar. So the answer to that question, or the solution to that problem, is you have to start to play in keys evenly, or practice evenly. If you learn a chord progression in one key, try to learn it in all keys. A good thing to do is take a standard song that you know. Very good question. Do you practice a new song in all keys? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But what I do is I practice progressions in all keys. Let me give you all an example of what I mean by that. Okay, let me give you an example. And songs are made of progressions, okay? Of course, 90% of the songs that we have in gospel music have what's called a 2-5-1 progression. In the key of C, D would be 2, G would be 5, C would be 1. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to practice that progression in every key, because that progression is so common in most songs. So let's try it in the key of C. And I'm going to try to come up with nice voicings for that 2-5-1 progression. So that was 2, 5, 1. All right, let's try it in the key of D flat. 2, 5, 1. Let's do it in the key of D. 2, 5, 1. Let's do it in the key of E flat. 2, 5, 1. And notice I'm trying to play real nice voicings for each one of those chords in my progressions. It's still 2, 5, 1, but in each key I'm trying to play a nice voicing. Okay, let's go to key of E. 2, 5, 1. In the key of F. 2, 5, 1. In the key of G flat. 2, 5, 1. In the key of G natural. 2, 5, 1. So I hope you see I can play those progressions in any key. So when I need to play a song that has it in it, it's really easy for me. You know, you can practice on the 2-5-1 progression. You can practice on the 3-6-2-5-1 progression. You can practice on the 1 moving to the 4 progression. You can move. It's so many different progressions that you can practice on, but do it in every key. That's the key to it. Practice it in every key. So that way you're going to be practicing evenly. So the key won't even matter to you, because you've taken the time to develop every key. And that's the key. Practicing in a balanced and an easy way. If you learn a new lick, practice it in every key, you know? So practicing in every key, just trying to make that a part of what you do and how you do, it'll make a huge difference, okay? Are there any other questions? Those are great questions. Those are great questions. Okay? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me this evening. It's not over with. I'm going to send you some things this week that I believe is going to help you. And then on next week, we're going to spend time talking about some new things and some things that I really believe that you're going to enjoy and that will really benefit you as well. So if you have questions or even subjects that you have questions about, or that you would love for me to cover, feel free to send me an email. That email address is kennyhollins@yahoo.com. I, of course, sent you the link from that email address. So you can just pull that back up. You can ask me a question. Kenneth, could you cover this? And I'll definitely try to include that, okay? So thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed that. And we have another week, and I really believe you're going to enjoy it. And until then, guys, practice on this, work on it, and I guarantee you, when you incorporate it into your plan, you're going to see a difference, and the people that listen to you are probably going to hear a difference too, okay? All right, you guys be blessed. Thank you so much.